What is going on, Jerome homies? It is Christmas Eve, I guess, Christmas weekend. So a lot of things going on. A lot of people are just out of work. A lot of people just, well, not out of work, just like, we ain't working. Not a lot getting done, but a couple beautiful days of NFL college football going on. Vikings moving to 8-7 against the low energy Detroit Lions on Christmas Eve, and also we got a supersized Q&A, so let's get it on. Benjamin Burrito, I went to last year's whiteout game. White. I love seeing them win. They beat the Giants, back when they could beat the Giants at home. 2-0 in whiteout games. PS, your videos keeping me positive about this team. Thank you for that. Hey, you're welcome. And yes, the Vikings are 3-point dogs, but it's a division game. And, people forget. The Lions have looked very uneven this season. And could the Vikings catch the Lions napping? Yes. I think that's certainly a possibility, especially with Lee McNeil being out. K Fizzle, what's your favorite Christmas tradition? Happy holidays to you and the community. Hey, happy holidays to you too. Favorite Christmas tradition? A wrench has been thrown up because the Vikings played on Christmas Eve the last couple of years. But generally, what we do is presents are on Christmas Day for the kids. One gift on Christmas Eve, and also there's usually like Christmas jammies involved. Yeah. But also there's been a Vikings game the last two Christmas Eves now, and what we do is hammer out the game, quick little recap, go to church with the family, and we just chill out. We watch some Christmas movies. We make beef stroganoff every Christmas Eve. I don't know why, but it's just really good and fantastic. We make the high end stuff, so I'll actually take like a rib roast, right? So like good stuff. Dice up, sear, marinate, dice, marinate, sear. Nailed it. And then braise it down, and then I make my own mushroom jus, and then mushroom cream sauce, and then put over egg noodles and stuff. So it's like higher end beef stroganoff, I guess. But I forget when we started. Probably when the wife and I started dating, because she likes beef stroganoff. It's not code. And then Christmas Day. So generally what we do is a big family, Christmases, extended families, the weekend or 2 weekends before, and Christmas Day, we just chill. Just chill at home. You don't realize how great it is just to sit at home and do nothing on Christmas Day. Like, kids open presents, and also my kids actually like sleeping in. So that's a win, even though I'm up early anyways. But yeah, that's what we do. Make a lasagna. Watch some NBA, watch some NFL on Christmas Day. It'll be good times. Linktown Blue. If it turns out that Chandler against the Bengals was a fluke, what would you think of Notre Dame's Audric Steam in the draft? Dude's a beast in IMO. I'm like, he's a 230-pound freaking bowling ball. Like he is pretty damn fantastic. And I don't think it'll be like last year when there was two running backs in the first round. Actually, I don't think there's going to be a first-round running back this year, but I think the Vikings could and should look to add in the class, whether day 2, day 3. Actually, more day 3 or UDFA. John Marlai, happy holidays to you and your family. Thank you. Back at you. What's your favorite Christmas food? I'd say anything beef. The standing rib roast is really getting after it, or make up the whole beef stroganoff thing, the whole thing. So for me, prime rib is best served medium rare or rare. Rare. And for me, a steak best medium rare. But with prime rib, it's interesting because I actually like the end pieces, because you really season up the outside, and I generally do like a smoke standing rib roast. So get that nice crust on the outside, and I don't know, just like the butts, the flavoring. It's so delicious once it hits your lips. And I'm predicting Jaren Hall will play in the second half because Mullins will throw 2 picks in the first half. I would love to see Jaren Hall. Hopefully it's not under those circumstances, because that could put the Vikings' ass in the jackpot. Axel Mueller, the Vikings defense has played outstanding this year, and it really makes me wonder if Flores gets a head coaching gig elsewhere. Do you think the Vikings defense will still be able to play at a high level next year? Well, it's interesting because, first off, no Flores players followed him to Minnesota. No assistants. There's 2 lower levels of assistants that had crossover with him, but like no big name assistants came with him. So there isn't really anyone who could stay behind and hold down the fort. Now, Flores definitely deserves a head coaching gig with his lawsuit stuff and the thing with the Dolphins. Like, I don't know if teams would necessarily just go with him. I think New England could make sense, especially if Gerard Mayo isn't the guy in New England, but I guess we'll see. Again, selfishly, would love to have him for another year, but if he gets the right job, and also with Flores' experience in Miami, I don't think he's just going to take any job. Like, I think that he has to be in lockstep with the head coach, or excuse me, the GM and the owner, and then go from there. Vassell. Would it be smart to use Dobbs kind of like the Saints use Taysom Hill, have him run the ball or roll out for short passes every once in a while? I mean, having that wrinkle would be interesting, except I don't think that would be Kevin O'Connell's bag. Because, I mean, even go back to the Rams, even though that wasn't necessarily his offense. Like, there wasn't any Wildcat. Yeah, I just don't really see him go down that route. Free, after watching the last bunch of weeks without... take that back. So, there has been Wildcat snaps with running backs, but in terms of subbing in a quarterback to run the Wildcat, I haven't seen that. Free, watching the last bunch of weeks without Kirk, do you have concerns for Kevin O'Connell's ability to create an offense to fit a quarterback's skill set? Say in the future they draft a raw talent like Richardson like last year, how would that work out? Well, part of it is everything's on the fly, and you do have to give a little bit of leeway because they can't just scrap and completely rebuild an offense from scratch mid-season, like even with a bye week, right? So it would have been really hard to pivot to an offense that would cater exclusively to Dobbs, but also, I do think that Mullins is operating well in the offense. Like, I mean, those two boneheaded interceptions aside, I think that he operated relatively well against Cincinnati because, skill set wise, he does have a lot of overlap with Kirk. And I think that overall, like, if the Vikings did land a guy like Anthony Richardson, or say they landed a guy like Jaden Daniels, I think they obviously would shift things around. Ain't not law. This is more of a statement, but why can't we have any game that isn't one score? I'm so exhausted mentally between last year and this year watching every game and come down to the wire skull. Well, part of it is parity across the league. I mean, a lot of games are decided by one score, but also I think part of it is Kevin O'Connell's unwillingness to just keep his foot on the gas. Yeah, because you just haven't seen that game where the Vikings just boat race another team. Well, we saw it in the first half against the Saints, except then they came on crawling back. Got to make it one score, man. Drew Wanez. If cap was an issue besides Hunter and JJ, what other sign in the offseason would you like to see the Vikings make? Realistically, Kirk. Can we get Kirk at like a 2-year, 2 years, $76 million deal? Would be great. Also, the extending a Darisaw with his extension window open. Yes, I'll go do that. Michael Converse. Based on what we've seen from the Josh Dobbs experiment, do you have concerns about his coaching staff being able to develop a rookie dual-threat quarterback? Yeah, like we said, Dobbs came in mid-season. It wasn't even like Dobbs was on the training camp roster, but if the Vikings did pick up, say, a type of guy like Jaden Daniels, or they do eventually end up with Jaron Hall as the QB1, and he obviously has some movement skills too, and then I think that we would get a better look on the offense that they would cook up. Because remember, I mean, Kevin O'Connell, like, he was a very mobile quarterback, especially for 6'5" and change. Like, he could run. So it's not like he was this plotting. I'm trying to think, what was the Nevada quarterback who had knee issues and he couldn't? Carson Strong, yeah. So he wasn't like that, right? So it's not like he doesn't understand what goes in the mind of a mobile quarterback. Nick Doroff, what would be your touchdown dance be if you scored a go-ahead walk-off touchdown? So, getting into Asian stereotypes, because why not? I would have my teammates line up like it's a Benihana and just completely go Blackstone on the thing, man. Just do the onion volcano. It'd be great. Chuck, what is the direction of this team? Do we feel the competitive rebuild is working, or are we failing on both competitive and rebuilding and trying to do both simultaneously? No, I think the future is very, very bright. Where the Vikings last two off seasons have shed a lot of older veteran contracts, and I think it was the right move at the right time. I mean, you look at Kendricks, you look at Thielen, you look at Dalvin, you look at Patrick Peterson. I mean, it was time to make those moves, and the Vikings clearing up cap space now. I think that Kirk is probably going to be the bridge quarterback to the future, whether that's 2 or 3 years down the line. And I think that the core right now is gorgeous. I mean, premium position guys, JJ, Addison, Darisaw, hopefully Daniil Hunter. And I think that defense is the defense is going to be great. So I think they're doing very well right now, and they're still in things despite again. Everything this year has to be colored in the fact that, hey, the Vikings started off slow, as well as they lost JJ for 7 games, and, well, basically 7.5 games, and then Kirko got hurt as well. Clinton Resig, can fans just recognize that the Vikings could go deep in the playoffs this time? I mean, besides the Niners, who are you really scared of? And the Vikings did beat the Niners, by the way. What do you honestly think the Vikings will do in this year's draft? What do they do if they keep Kirk? And what will they do if they don't keep him? I think that even if they keep him or if they don't keep him, I think that they could look for a quarterback right away. If the right guy is there in the first or second round, absolutely. And what would you do personally want them to do in the draft? Watch you religiously for 4 years now, and by far my favorite Vikings media outlet. Hey, thank you. Keep it up as always, Skull. I would definitely hammer the defensive line, as well as I would look to freshen up the front seven. I mean, the off balls as well. Hicks, if he's back, great. Pace is obviously going to take another step, but at a certain point, you can't just keep playing light all the time. So we got to get back to we have the meats. Tavondre Sweat one time, babe. Kong Chang Vang. Would you include TJ Hawkinson in a trade to move up in the draft if it were for a quarterback now? Unless somehow you could swing up to number 1, nah. Cool Man Clash. Greg Joseph is the best kicker, if not the best player in the NFL. What do you think? It's not even close. What's up, Greg's cousin? Traveler. If you could choose between Kevin O'Connell or Brian Flores as Vikings head coach, I'm still going to roll with Kevin O'Connell. Yeah, because I think that it's such a competitive advantage to have an offensive-minded head coach because you don't have that turnover on that side of the ball. Whereas if you have a defensive head coach, anytime you bring in an offensive coordinator worth his salt, he's going to get a head coaching job. So I think that continuity on offense is more important than defense. Even though that Brian Flores defense has been great, man. Paul O'Dowd, thoughts on DJ Wonnum long term as Robin to Hunter? I think he's shown promise. Do you think that we could look to upgrade free agency and draft specifically get someone other than him on the edge? Well, you got to bring Daniil back first. But with Wonnum, like he's shown whether it was 2 years ago or this year that would give an opportunity, like he can put up numbers. And I think that his role is best utilized with a guy who's an alpha like Daniil Hunter. So I think that certainly plays into it. Could he get paid in free agency? Yes, but also I think that teams will realize that Wonnum probably isn't a 1-1, but is he a number 2? Yes. And also, Andre Carr II, growing into his NFL body, shedding his military frame and getting yoked up. I think it's gonna be really good too, man. Also, PS2 or PJ2 in a contract here. Go ahead, man. Next up, actually trying to see if I can hit this middle here. Bear with me. So we got the Wizards and we have the Golden State Warriors. Clock kicking down. So we have a middle at 243.5 over and under 247. So we're looking for a deuce. That was not it. You going to call a foul? Nope. All right, we'll get 2 shots. All right, so in real time, this is really good pot. So right now it is 243, and we need 1 point. All right, 5.8 ticks left. This is good. At the line, Chris Paul, Steph just chilling on the sideline. It's up. Oh, we got one. We need one. We need un mas, but also we need to stay under 247. Well, no, 247.5. So it's even better. So that's sort of what I've been doing, betting unders in NBA and college basketball games. And if the games start out slow, being able to hammer a nice little middle, and you either push and lose the juice, or you have a chance to hammer both bets, which is fantastic. Do we just win or lose? Hey, 247. 247.5. Let's go. Anyways, next up. What are we looking for? HSY. Is Kwesi on the chopping block if this draft doesn't go well? No. He would be on thin ice. Yeah. Conlon Hooley. Vikings know everything is fated. What will it be? Skull Brothers. Super Bowl. Andy Shong. Thoughts on the Wolves' comeback against Jimmy Butler and the Heat? It was great. It was fantastic, man. So this Wolves team is certainly something else. And I've said it before. Like, the half-court defense is championship caliber. And the fact that you have Towns playing out of his skull, playing the best ball of his career, and this team really gelling. It's almost like last year they needed a full year to gel and figure out how all the pieces were going to fit. And they got Anthony Edwards, who can get his own shot, can dominate a second half and just completely take over. That's exactly what you need in the playoffs. That's exactly what you need, man. So the fact that they sucked it up on the road, Eastern time zone, South Florida, they easily could have thrown in the towel in that Miami game, but they came roaring all the way back. Complete BS in Philly. Joel Embiid. Like, Embiid's good, but he's not good enough to get all those calls. It's ridiculous. 51 points, congratulations. Yeah, 18 freaking free throws? Nah. And the Lakers, even if LeBron played against the Lakers, Wolves still win, and the Wolves still cover. So it's a fun season, man. Milo. Seeing how things have gone this season, could it be argued that there is a quarterback documentary curse? By the way, love the mock drafts are coming. Well, Mariota wasn't any good. Kirk got hurt. Mahomes has been meh. I mean, maybe that's why people don't want to be on season 2. Eric Anderson, if we re-sign Kirk, do you think we'll still target quarterback early in the draft? If the right one is there, but I don't think they'll force it. Homeboy, looking back into the offseason, do you remember when Ejiro Evero picked Carolina over the Vikings? How's that working out? Also, we could have had Mike Pettin. I mean, if they didn't get Flores, Pettin probably would have been it. But Ejiro Evero is interesting, where it feels like now, this is purely anecdotal and speculative, but it feels like Evero is very attuned to politics when it comes to stuff, where he could have been the interim head coach for the Broncos last year. He declined. He could have been the interim head coach for the Panthers, but they went in a different direction. Does Evero only want to focus on his side of the ball, or does he not want to be the interim of a team that he knows is bad? I don't know, man. But, I mean, he picked Carolina. Carolina's a mess. I mean, could Evero have had the success that Flores had here in Minnesota? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah. Chris, will we ever see the game chains again? So Kirko chains? We'll see. I mean, gotta have Kirko. Well, Kirko back. The Vikings win a big-time road game, start the season. Christian Darrisaw, give him the chain, man. Cole, new phrase for the next few weeks. This ain't Super Bowl, man. This is Detroit. Skull as always, and let's kick those Motor City Kitties' asses. Absolutely. Say Detroit, man, this is Super Bowl. Traveler, what changed with the Vikings D in the fourth quarter of the Bengals game? They got passive. Flores was dropping 8 quite a bit. Pass rush wasn't getting to Browning like earlier in the game, and it's basically what happened. I mean, they allowed Browning time to launch those arm punts, and T. Higgins and Chase played insane. I mean, got to give them respect there. Julian Van Linker. Do you think next season we'll have enough money to sign Kirk, JJ, and Hunter? Yes. Because I think what they can do is they can structure it. They can defer cap hits. And the Vikings getting out from underneath a lot of bad veteran contracts that they shed last offseason. So those all that cap money will be freed up. I'll be fine. Axel Mueller, how likely is it that Minnesota spends a first rounder on a quarterback and re-signs Kirk? I'd say like 50-50 with Crystal Ball. Michael Winkler, what are your thoughts on Dylan Raiola flipping his commitment from Georgia to Nebraska? Now, he framed it as, hey, I want to play at my dad's school, because his dad, Dominic Raiola, was a great center at Nebraska, dirty-ass center with the Lions for many years. And it really what it came down to is like Carson Beck returned to Georgia. He didn't want to compete. He's looking to start right away, and it's like, cool, all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, I almost feel like it's a red flag. I understand that kids will be kids, but soaking up all that attention and just really leaning into the hype before you've even played it down on a campus, I mean, ain't about that, man. The bomb. Do you think the Vikings should draft J.J. McCarthy and Sipion Kirk for a year and take over? I mean, if he's there when the Vikings draft late in the first round, yes. Because I think McCarthy's a toolsy player. I think that he has a strong arm. I think that he's accurate at all 3 levels. Basically, they just never really asked him to do a whole lot in that very conservative Michigan offense. T-Money. Do you think Kevin O'Clownell thinks he knows better than everyone in the room? Play calling, Ty being RB2, not calling that timeout when Flo told him to, etc. I think he's a guy that's still figuring things out. Now, will he learn from mistakes or will he not? Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. Andy Shong, what's your take on Marcus Davenport? Sometimes you roll the dice and sometimes you 7 out. That's what it is, man. And I'm glad that it was a multi-year deal. I'm glad that there was like $2 million in active game day incentives, and it is what it is. Give up number 0, give it to Ivan Pace Jr. and Davenport, one and done. Yeah. Zachary Hazley. Is Jaron all hype real, or is it based solely on one drive we saw from him and the Vikings' lack of good quarterback options? Well, the one drive is important, as well as his maturity level, his 3-level arm, his arm strength, the fact that he takes care of the football, his mobility. Basically, his tape at BYU is really, really good. It's fantastic, man. I love me the Mormon Missile. Robert Harry. If Flores isn't back next year, who do you want to be our defensive coordinator? Harrison Smith. I know. I know I'm supposed to say Brandon Staley, but I don't want to say Brandon Staley. Although Staley was a competent defensive coordinator, he was a garbage heap as a head coach. And some people just rise above their level of competency. Peter Principle. Mr. TikTok, put TJ Hawk at quarterback and then do a bunch of screens, JJ and Chandler. T-Lin. When I played football in high school, it was always hard to see what was happening from the sidelines. Why doesn't OC, DC head coach have a podium to get a better view? I mean, it's never really been done. But, I mean, for practice, you could have like a tower like Bear Bryant had. He had that megaphone. Hey, number 72, let's see some more hustle. I got my houndstooth hat on. Andy, love your work, and you should work for the team. Hey, thank you. And, nah. Like, fully respect the team. I think VEN does some amazing work and respect what they do, but also I need the freedom and flexibility to talk ish about the Vikings when they deserve it. Jim Butler, what's with Osama not playing defense? Well, we've been dealing with a multitude of injuries all season, and also when Hicks went down, I mean, Troy Dye played a couple of snaps, so basically they just played with one linebacker, Ivan Pace. DRU, why doesn't Flores use goal line defense when the opposing team is within 2 yards of scoring? I mean, they do have a heavy package with Tonga and Bullard and Harrison Phillips out there, but I mean Tonga, yes, is a nose tackle, but they need more size along the D line. LFL football, Andy, who do you think is the quarterback in the draft the Vikings probably should not draft? I don't think there's one per se that I would just be like, no, Nunca, no. I guess if Penix's knee medicals don't check out, that's really the only thing. But in terms of what they can do on the field, focus on what the guy can do if they build offense around him. I mean, there isn't really a quarterback that I'm just be like, no. Like, unless they're significantly overdrafted or if there's medical issues, I mean, open mind is the way to go. Kanye West, biggest fan. Do you ever think about how professional athletes have to play on Christmas and Thanksgiving? It kind of sucks that they can't spend Christmas with their family anyway. Merry Christmas. Back at you. I mean, yes, but it's also part of the gig. I mean, it's when football season is, and I mean, not teams. I mean, players and families, they adjust. And if they play on Christmas Day, they have Christmas afterwards. Or they play on Thanksgiving, they got the long weekend and the de facto bye week. They celebrate on the weekend. So I think it's just a roll with the punches thing, right? It's like how football players are hunters, but I mean, most of the good hunting seasons of ruminants are in the fall. All right, so sort of is what it is. Drew Smith. Something I've been noticing lately is the turf at many NFL stadiums look really bad. The Vikings included, looks like carpet. I think it's worn considerably since historic U.S. Bank Stadium first opened. Could the Vikings do natural grass indoors? Yeah, we made this pitch the other day where basically it's doable. It's expensive. And, of course, maintenance for a full grounds crew is more than just maintenance for replacing a couple squares of artificial turf. But I mean, U.S. Bank Stadium has had a number of significant ACL injuries, 2 of them with Dalvin, as well as not 2, just 1, and also the JJ hamstring. I mean, could certainly be chalked up to the slit whatever turf. ENF, how people say you need 3 years to properly evaluate a draft pick, can it be the same with Kevin O'Connell, second-year head coach, who's who's good, not great yet? Maybe start to be concerned if things don't change by next year around this time. I think it's fair, but also I think it's noteworthy the way that the Vikings just sort of managed their way out of the games against the Bengals, against the Bears, and against the Broncos. So, I mean, not time to fire him, but it's also something that you need to keep an eye on going forward. Tyrone, if Kirk were to leave the Vikings this offseason, would Jaren Hall or Nick Mullins be a starter? Which one would be the better starter? I think Mullins, for like 1 year, would have a slightly higher floor, but Jaren Hall obviously would have the much higher ceiling. If Kirk was gone and the Vikings didn't sign or draft a startable quarterback, I would be rooting for Jaren Hall, and I think it would be fine. Kyle Langstrom, who are the breakout stars for next year's team? Jaren Hall. I guess Ty Chandler. I don't think he's fully broken out this year. I would say Ty Chandler, Ed Ingram. Where Ed Ingram was bad last year, thank you. He was average this year, slightly above average. I think he becomes fantastic next year. Jaquelin Roy. I'd say Mekhi Blackman. Mekhi Blackman's been really good, but I think he busts out next year. Sheldor the Meme God. If there was one player, non-quarterback, to be sent to the Vikings, no strings attached, no cap space concerns, no draft pick trade, only sent here for free for the rest of the players. Who do you want that to be? Bosa, Gardner, Micah Parsons? Creed Humphrey? Nah. I would say Sauce. I mean, just having that man-to-man corner, set and forget it. I mean, that really frees up what you can do on defense, man. User, what does Kevin McConnell still see in Madison makes him start over Ty Chandler, and what happened to Brian Asamoah? Ball secured, not dropping. Again, I think Madison, he's a solid leader. I think he's a good all-around running back, and I think that stability, I mean, coaches are conservative by nature. Go with the known average versus the unknown. And Asamoah has been injuries, and also Jordan Hicks playing out of his mind at the beginning of the year, and Pace looking really good. Tommy Litz. Can the Vikings beat the Lions thrice in one season? Yes, and they're going to have to. Dylan Kearns, I do not feel that I've seen Hockenson lined up wide very often. He is a top tight end in the league. Is it just further proof that O'Connell isn't as creative? Isn't a creative play caller? Well, it could be that, or maybe Hockenson, the coaching staff doesn't deem him to be plus outside, where I certainly think that he does. I think the Vikings should use a lot more two tight end sets. I mean, Oliver and Hockenson on the field at the same time. The other team stays in their base. You line Hockenson up in the slot or out wide. If they go nickel, just run it down their damn throat and don't let them sub. Carl Gerbschmidt. It's the time of year when a lot of people are using crockpots. Some people say using crockpots isn't cooking. Are you pro or con crockpot? If pro, what's your favorite crockpot meal to make? Very pro crockpot. Who cares if people say it's not cooking? I mean, it's applying heat to edible things. So, I mean, it's cooking to me. Very pro crockpot, especially. So I like lazy cooking. Like I like our air fryer because it's got a timer and and it turns off. I like cooking in the microwave a lot, especially with the we got cook any day stuff, and the kids really like mashed sweet potatoes. So all you do, I mean, you just dice up a sweet potato, toss it in there, a little bit of water, and 12 minutes, and then just perfect. Same thing with pasta. Basically, working like 3 jobs, and I got 3 kids, and run around all the time. So saving time is great. That's why we do a lot of barbecue too. But also, favorite crock pot meal. I'd say, so we make a lot of soup in the winters, and we'll get the soup going like in a big pot on the stove, but then I'll generally transfer it to a crock pot, and because soup gets a little bit better as time goes on, chili especially. So soup and chili's in there. Also, so we're trying to like adopt being Italian, but the kids really love pasta. The wife loves pasta. I love making lasagnas and all that stuff, and I like making my own sauce because, I mean, the jarred stuff, I mean, you can get like high-end stuff, which is good, but a lot of stuff has not great things in it, and I like knowing where everything is coming from. So like making up a sauce, again, it's sort of like the soup. So big-time kettle, You got your onions, you got your garlic, you got sausage or pork. Saute all that up, and then get your tomatoes and tomato paste and a little bit of sugar. Basically, just take Clemenza's recipe from The Godfather. A little bit of, I like adding a little bit of red wine, like a Pinot Noir or whatever you have for cooking, or even just some balsamic vinegar. It's good. Also, I like dicing up basil stems, and whatever else we have around. Sometimes thyme. So just utilizing that, and just really getting after that, and just so putting it on the stove, letting it simmer. But also, so I got young kids that can reach the stove, so I don't want the stove going all the time. So we'll transfer over to their crock pot and put that on low and let that simmer all day, and it just smells amazing. So yeah, making your own red sauce or gravy, it's really good. The average, that's gaming. What do you think will start? Who do you think will start for the Vikings in 2024? So like all 22 positions? Nah, just kidding. For quarterback, Kirk Cousins, yes. Silver. Why isn't Hall playing? He's done nothing wrong yet, and Lily's played. Well, I just don't get it. Again, I think coaches are conservative by nature. So Nick Mullins has always been QB too, and he's healthy and he's good to go. I think Dobbs had a hot hand for a while, and Mullins wasn't available for a hot second, and Jaron Hall wasn't available for a while. I think that's what it comes down to. Rick, South Dakota. Why do the Vikings always get hairy high school coaches? O'Donnell, Childress, they need OCs. Get hairy high school coaches. All right. Knack Dog, Andy, Jerome, Ezekiel Cousins, happy holidays to you and the family. Back at you. Here is your Christmas gift. You are given full control of this team until the start of next season. What do you do for the rest of the year, the current roster, the offseason, and the draft? Guide us, oh wise one. So I full control over the team. So I moved them to Albuquerque. I renamed them the ABQ Blue. So re-signing JJ, Daniil, Kirk, Darisaw. Obviously letting go Marcus Davenport, not re-signing him. Hey, you get a comp pick in 2025, which is great. I maneuver in the first round, do whatever I can to pick up Jaden Daniels, have him be the future. It's going to be a 2-year deal with Kirk, but really 1 year of it guaranteed. So this could be an Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes type passing of the torch. I do whatever I can to keep Brian Flores. Like, if he doesn't find the right spot, I will make him the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. I will give him money that is commensurate with even some head coaches. And I feel like that's relatively good. Beef up the defensive line in free agency and the draft. Probably release Harrison Smith. That sucks to say, but it's probably what happens. Yeah. Seeing you. I pick up a lot of the references, but you make. But what is the that's saying from Love the Content Skull? So that's is from The Departed. When what's the guy's name? Anyways, one of Costello's crew gets pinched, and he's in the interrogation room with Matt Damon, and Matt Damon's like, "Is that all you told him?" And he's like, "That's." I don't know why that was stuck with me, but fantastic movie, by the way. I would say The Departed and The Town are two of the more underrated movies out there. Basically, anything that has crime in it or like heists, I'm in. Let's see here. There goes. Is the whole family Vikings fans, or is that house divided? My wife is a Rams fan, unfortunately. Me and our 3 kids are Vikings, and no, I was not going to leave. Let her have even one. So my 3 kids, like, they're either too young to really care, or they don't care. The wife is whatever about sports. Like, she doesn't even know. I was actually going to give her a challenge. I was like, hey, can you name 5 Vikings currently on the team? And we live next to 2 of them. And she couldn't. she forgot the 2 that we live by. It's funny, man. Her family is hardcore Vikings fans. I don't think that there's really any Packers fans there. She's got a cousin that's like a Packers fan, but that's really about it. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, mostly Vikings. Chunk 28. Favorite Vikings player ever? Randy Moss. Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Everson, Jared Allen, Antoine Winfield Jr. That's like my top 5 generally. JJ's up there too. Are the Vikings contenders mediocre, just bad? It was a reason for why you choose contender, mediocre, or bad. Slight contender. Mainly because the Vikings are still trying to figure things out. They've been having to juggle things with injuries, and yes, every single team has. The defense is, aside from the fourth quarter against the Bengals, opportunistic. The offense can certainly get things done, especially with JJ being healthy at this point. And also, the fact that their 7 losses were all within 1 score, and they lost the turnover battle every single time. So it's not like they've gotten beat. The Vikings are and the Ravens are only 2 teams in the league that don't have a loss by double digits. So it's not like this team is getting its ass kicked. And that's the thing about playoff games, is that they're generally going to be close, and they're generally going to be against good teams. And if the Vikings can figure things out and continue to get the ball to JJ and Addison and Hawkinson, and all of a sudden Ty Chandler's run the ball great, the offensive line does their ish, Mullins doesn't make stupid mistakes, and defense is top dog, dangerous team. I mean, you look at the Rams. The Rams are clicking at the right time. The Rams were asked thank you to start the season, but they got things together. I think the Vikings can do the same. Tyler Johnson guitar, would you support a Belichick head coach Flores DC run next year? I don't think that I don't know if Flores would go for it. Like, not aware of the Belichick-Flores relationship, but would Flores just basically accept a lateral move under a new head coach? Nah. Also, Belichick's probably going to get traded, so I'm giving up picks for Belichick at this stage of his career. The Avengerless Gaming. Do you think the Vikes are going to draft a quarterback in the first round if the right guy is there? Anthony Carlos, if the Vikings move to Canada in an attempt for the NFL to increase its market reach, would you stick with them with the team? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd stick with the Vikings. Well, I don't think they would move to Toronto. Would they move to Winnipeg? Maybe. Yeah. Or just don't move to Vancouver, man. Simon D. Giovanni, what are your thoughts on Greg Joseph? I think he's automatic from inside of 40. I think he's erratic from over 40. And it's interesting because he's supposed to be this long-distance specialist, but I do worry about him. He's relatively clutch at the end of games, but I worry about him just randomly missing like a second-quarter field goal or PAT, which then the Vikings end up chasing the entire game. My name is Juf. Best Christmas dish or dessert? A well-done prime rib. Well, properly done prime rib. Not well done. Rare to medium rare. The prime rib. Also with a great seasoned crust, like super aggro on the crust. And then also like a delicious like creamy horseradish sauce. Let's go, man. Dessert. Yeah, I feel like Christmas cookies are up there. Also, I feel just like any pies like, ooh. So, don't at me on this one, but I forget who made it, but there's like a cheesecake that has like crushed up candy canes in it. I mean, it sounds so stupid, but it is legit, man. Conan Billy Bone. At what point do you yank Mullins and put in Hall? If he throws a bunch of picks, yeah, go ahead. If he throws a bunch of picks and the offense isn't moving, yes. Quentin Berg. Should we cut Mannion? I think, or cut Madison. He's got 1 year left. I think part of his base salary is guaranteed. I don't know off the top of my head, but I actually don't know how much cap savings he would have. But I'll keep him around, but not automatically just give him the running back 1 job. Jack and Vanessa Realtor. Where's Davenport? I don't know. Cabo. Hayden Wayne, your thoughts on the Super Bowl colors, purple and red. So, last 2 years, there's been foreshadowing of the Super Bowl color logo and who ends up playing. So, Rams, Bengals, and Chiefs and the Eagles, and this year's purple and red. So, obviously, it's going to be Vikings and Chiefs, not Niners and Ravens like everyone thinks. Nick Costa, at this point, is it even worth making the playoffs this year? Yes, every single year it is. Ask the Jets if it's worth making the playoffs. Because I understand it's like, oh, what if they lose? What if they win? What about the 2012 Ravens? What about the 2007 Giants? What about the team in 2010 that won't be mentioned? Teams are allowed to catch fire at the right time. I think the Vikings do have the makings of that. The offense is getting its ish together. The defense is pretty legit. So why not? Why can't Nick Mullins go on a Nick Foles type run in the playoffs? Got none. One cracker. If the Vikings never existed and Minnesota didn't have an NFL team, who do you think you would be a fan of? It better not be the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers. It would probably be which games are shown here the most. I don't think it would be the Packers. Although if the Vikings didn't exist, then my grandpa and then my dad wouldn't be Vikings fans and wouldn't necessarily hate the Packers as much. I would hope it would be something like I don't have a problem with the Bears. I have a problem with Bears fans most of the time. But the Bears have great history. I do love me Chicago as the city itself. I think it's a good time. I do love the toughness that the Bears have generally shown throughout history. Not this year, or last couple of years. Other than that, probably the Chiefs. My uncle played for the Chiefs for a hot second. He also played for another team that shall not be mentioned. But yeah, if the Vikings didn't exist, I guess the Chiefs would be like the regional team, like the Midwestern team. So, yeah, probably Chiefs. Or I would just pick up the Raiders. Destined for greatness. Should we fire Kevin McCollum, hire Flores as our head coach? Absent a complete faceplant for the next 3 games, I don't see that happening. I just don't see ownership doing that. But that's it. Holy crap. Super extended Q&A. With sweating the middle on in. You guys are the best. Skull, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, production value.